Speculators from all countries do this all the time. These promissory notes are considered highly desirable, and by the time they are paid off in full, they have literally traveled around the world and make millions more dollars than they're worth. So you see how the paper game is so out of whack. So I hope that through that example is that you can see a promissory note has value. But is it money? How to package a promissory note to make it look like money is the trick. And it's simply done. Have you ever seen a United States savings bond? Canada savings bond? They're among the commonest forms of gifts for life cycle events like weddings, baptisms, bar mitzvahs, things like that. What is a U.S. or a Canadian savings bond? It's a promissory note, packaged to look a lot like money. When you buy it, however, you pay less than the face value. That's why people like to give them as gifts. A $100 bond makes a great gift, but it only costs about $80. Price depending, of course, on the interest rate. That money, the $80, is a loan from you to the government. They will take your money, or the real money, and invest it. The government, being the most leveraged investor of all, will make a lot of money on your loan, and they will therefore be able to pay you back with interest and still be way ahead of the game. When the bond matures, you will be able to cash it in for the full $100. The government, of course, will have made more than $100 on your money. But what's it to you? They made money, you made money. Everybody's happy, right? Now, think of what a United States savings bond looks like. It looks a lot like money. Suppose you owed a man $100 and your business had just failed, and you had no cash to pay the man. If you had a mature $100 U.S. savings bond, the man just might accept the bond as payment for the loan. In fact, if he needed the money fast, then even if the bond had not actually matured fully, he still might even accept it. He would just have to wait till it matures, especially if he thought that he couldn't collect any other money from you any other way. U.S. savings bonds look like money, and they act like money. See, these U.S. Treasury bonds are being bought and sold around the world, and they're valueless. China is sitting on trillions worth of them. Because they look like money, they act like money, but they're not legal tender. Why? Because you can't force anyone to accept them as payment of debt. The acceptance has to be voluntary. Okay, I'll take it because maybe there's no other way I can get the money out of you. But if you're bankrupt, a creditor will accept the bonds if he thinks he won't otherwise get his money from you, right? Any government wanting to expand its currency and knowing these facts about promissory notes might ask this question. So how can we force the citizens to accept this promissory note as if it were real money? Think about this. The government is continually borrowing money, repaying old loans, borrowing new money all over again. Each loan transaction generates a promissory note. If the government could somehow, by some subterfuge, find a way to package these promissory notes to make them look like money and circulate them as such, then the government could be awash in new money, created without the need to go mine gold, operate businesses, or raise taxes. What a deal! More money, no work. And I know, when I just said that, a light went off in your head and you said, you don't get anything for free. Right! Exactly. You get into debt. So how do you do it? In the 19th century, the American government asked just that question. You'll be astonished and disappointed at the answer they came up with. During the Civil War, paper money is introduced to America. To get the people to accept promissory notes as money, you first have to get them to accept paper money. Remember, in the States, the only lawful currency was, and still is, legally gold and silver coins. The dollars are just notes, promissory notes, for that gold and silver. The Civil War gave the government the excuse it needed to begin experimenting with paper. Although the Civil War ended slavery, not the real reason for the war, by the way, you must remember that no other Western nation had slavery either. England even freed her slaves before America did, and they did it without a war. America was the only nation that needed a civil war to end slavery. So was the war really necessary? The answer is no. Then what was the true reason for the Civil War? I'll give you a hint, but this is another show at some other time on A View from Space on AM 640. Abraham Lincoln, the man they are most often sinking with, Barack Obama, needed money to finance this war. The European bankers offered him large quantities of money at interest rates so exorbitant that he said, I've got two great enemies, the Southern Army in front of me and the bankers in the rear. Of the two, the one at my rear is my greatest foe. Wow. Now we're beginning to touch on the truth about the American Civil War. Lincoln told the bankers to go to hell. He printed his own money. These bills, which had nothing behind them except Lincoln's solemn promise to redeem them in gold after the war, which he did do, in fact, were called greenbacks. Called that because of the green paper they were printed on. But, between you and I, also another reason was an invocation of the green man Osiris, the highest deity in the ancient mystery Egyptian religion. Known as the Green Man, the original Green Man. They circulated, and the people accepted them. Amazing. Don't forget that the only money circulating in America at that time was gold and silver coins. The acceptance by the people of pieces of government paper masquerading as money was an enormous vote of confidence in the integrity of the government. Of course, this sort of trust in the government is easier to elicit when there's a war going on. Oh, sure, anything you tell me. It's okay, all right. Space back in a minute on AM 640 with A View from Space. Spaceman and the guy they call Space on AM 640. You can email me at space@640toronto.com or spaceman@640toronto.com. Just telling the story about Abraham Lincoln needing to finance his war, the Civil War. European bankers offered him a lot of money at high, exorbitant interest rates. To which he said, I have two great enemies, the Southern Army in front of me and the bankers in the rear. Of the two, the one at my rear is my greatest foe. Yes, you see, Abraham Lincoln wasn't about to take the loans and put the country in such a large debt it wouldn't be paid off for a long, long time. So he decided to print his own money. Other men that came after him, that tried to do what Abraham Lincoln did, also met the same fate. So he actually got the people, talked the people, very popular president, talked the people into accepting greenbacks masquerading as money. Saying at the end of the war, and we didn't even know who was going to win, that he would redeem them for gold and silver. Those greenbacks. And he did. But the people bought it because